across the galaxy where they talk all things LA Galaxy with the Nag Boys. Let's start nagging.
What a ball for Ricky Peach.
Across the galaxy. Keep on nagging, guys. Your sixth-time MLS Cup champion, LA Galaxy.
That intro still trips me out to this day. I don't know why. Alright, welcome to News Across the Galaxy, where we talk all things LA Galaxy. I am one of your hosts, Brian Lobos, and tonight joining me, Mr. Edgar Zuniga. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm all right, man. I'm recovering from a rough week. I had a cold, and I'm over the cold now. But also, one of my buddies, he was with me at the game last night. We were celebrating his birthday, and my God, he celebrated his birthday, and I'm still recovering from that. But I think the cold is what hit me the hardest though this past week. But I'm okay now. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, the important thing is that you're feeling much better. As for me, I for some reason have a headache right now. Not sure why. It's
Old
just
age, man.
Yeah, it's just been one of those days, I guess. But I mean, yesterday was fun, right? The LA Galaxy.
It was.
The LA Galaxy dismantled Kansas City. But before that, it was bobblehead night for the LA Galaxy. A Marco Royce bobblehead. Were you able to get your hands on one of those?
I think at first when I got there, I was a little anxious. I was like, I wonder if I'll be able to get a Marco Royce bobblehead. But then I got the 3 hours for the game. But then as time went by and I just kept scanning the parking lot, I was like, oh no, like there's like hardly anyone here. I was like, there's like no line around the corner, for people lining up for the bobblehead or anything like that. Um, I don't know if it was the weather. I don't know if it was the opponent or just the fact that the team has already been eliminated out of contention, all that, whatever. But there weren't that many people there at the start, early, before the match, and I just got in line and I didn't even run or anything. I just like walked calmly, all the way to the back and got my bobblehead and that was that. It was funny.
As for me, I got there late, so I didn't even try to attempt to go get a bobblehead. I probably could have though, because like you mentioned,
Yeah.
it was pretty empty. I was actually because I usually tend to park inside, but this time I ended up parking in the outside, and we were walking to the stadium, and a fellow Galaxy fan just came up to us like, "Hey guys, enjoy the game. Doesn't look like there's going to be that many people here." And I looked around once we got to the stadium, and yeah, the parking lots were empty. The tailgates were empty, pretty much. But overall, I mean, people that were there had a good feeling. It was just people there for the vibes, basically, understanding that the season is over, and just there to go
Yeah.
hang out with fellow G's. And I think that's por lo menos, go hang out with friends, right?
This was one of the rare exceptions. Like once we knew this team was cooked, right? And
Yeah.
like midway through the season, we were like, damn, we were expecting losses, left and right. But this was one of those rare times when you go to the stadium, you're like, I expect these guys to win. Like you ask everybody, hey, how do you feel? But yeah, we should win this one. Kansas City sucks. And
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Chad, if Chad, our buddy Chad, is watching. But Kansas City is going through a really, really bad like form right now. They only have one win in their last 11 matches.
Oof.
Yeah,
Oof.
they're bad, dude. They're
One
really
win.
bad.
That's really bad. And they're with this weekend's loss, that makes 4 in a row for Kansas City, which is horrific. And even then, they're above us in the table by 3 points.
I wonder why.
All right, well,
One game.
let's go. Oh yeah, no shit. Fuck, they beat St. Peter's without taking a shot.
Like right before we came on, what did I tell you? Because I was looking at the table, and actually I thought about this yesterday. I was like, if it wasn't for that one result earlier in the season, LA Galaxy would not be in dead last. It would be Kansas City. But how many times this season And you hear this not just from us, but from other podcasters too. How many times this season have we said Galaxy should have won this game?
Yeah, 100%. Well, let's go through this lineup. And there's an important note with this lineup. Greg Vanny was not available for this match. I think it was yellow card accumulations.
Good.
I
Just
don't
kidding.
know. I don't know how that happens when you're the coach, but I guess he's a fiery coach. But let's go through this lineup. At goal, you had Nikola Mikovic. Your two center back pairings was Maya Yoshida, and surprising another start for Rindov. Kind of happy to see that. Out left, John Nelson. Out right, Mauricio Cuevas. Your trio in the midfield was Elijah Winder, Edwin Cerrillo, Diego Fagundes. Your left winger, Harbor Miller. Your right winger, Gabriel Peck. And the top, the man himself, the man of the hour, the hat trick hero, Joseph Paintsil. Edgar, any surprises there from this lineup? I know we had some injuries, but is this basically the lineup that you expected?
No. Uh, I had heard a couple of days before the match that Captain Dan, our buddy Captain Dan Calichman, was going to be in charge of the team this weekend. Um, yeah, Captain Dan is he's the original G baby. So anyway, I didn't know what to expect as far as the lineup is concerned. I know he's defensive minded because obviously he used to be a center back, and he he's in charge of training the defense, right? And
Damn.
so no, don't go after him now. It's not his fault, man. You work with what you got, right? But it's interesting. He came out with 3-4-3, with Yoshida in the center, and he had the two wing backs of Nelson and Rindolph. I was like, what? That's interesting. And then, of course, you had the four in the middle, and then you have Pinto up top. How many times have we seen that happen? And it doesn't really work. But you have Diego and Peck on the wings. I mean, it was a strange lineup, right?
The thing
Um,
is, well, like you're mentioning that it was a 3-4-3, but when I saw it on the pitch, it was the original lineup of 4-3-3. They have it
right?
kind of fucked up in the on FootMob how they lined them up, but they have Miller here as a center mid, but he didn't play center mid. He played out wide. They had Fagundes out wide, but he played more tucked in. And then you mentioned the three center backs. I mean, they kind of gave the freedom for Cuevas to push up, so it made it look like it was three in the back. But the lineup, I mean, it worked this time around, right?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was like, yeah, I think Kansas City probably got caught just like Colorado, where they scout the Galaxy and they're like, oh, this is the kind of lineup they usually put out. These are
Yeah.
the kind of players they usually bring in. And right now, it's kind of hard to prepare for LA Galaxy because this is a team that playing for nothing really. They have nothing to play for, and you have all these young guys that are coming in and out of the lineup, and you have injuries. So a lot of people are questionable. One of the biggest question marks heading into the match was whether or not Marco Royce was even going to figure in the match, whether or not Mateos Nascimento was going to be there. I had heard hours before the game. Somebody came up to me in the parking lot and said, "Hey, I heard Nascimento is going to be available, and so is Garces." And I was like, "Awesome!" But when I saw the actual lineup, there was no Nascimento anywhere. Garces was in there though, and in the roster. But I know, of course, no Marco Royce, sadly, on his own bobblehead day. So
Yeah.
it would have been nice to see him play, but he's been dealing with an injury that I'm sure doesn't need to be aggravated as we hit the end of the season. I fully expect him, or I hope to see him in the match against Toluca this week. I'm hoping LA Galaxy is saving a really good, solid roster for that one because that is the one game that really matters. I mean, it's an exhibition game and it's a made up cup, but hey, you know what? It's a cup and it's against
Silverware,
a
silverware.
solid team, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Toluca's been killing people in Liga MX
Yeah,
recently.
yeah, yeah.
So I hope Galaxy brings their best to this game because it's a game that will mean something if they win it. If they don't win it, like, oh well, just add it to the pile of all the misery, right?
Yeah, 100%. Well, let's go through this game. And before we do, I'm gonna give you guys some stats because the score was lopsided, but the stats are actually very, very close. Um, Throughout the whole match, possession wise, the Galaxy had 54 to their 46. That's pretty close. Expected goals, the XG 3.85 for the LA Galaxy, 1.56 for Kansas City. But at halftime, I was actually rewatching the match, and the expected goals for the Galaxy was 1.3 or something like that. So they surpassed that halftime expectation. Total shots, 20 for Kansas City, 19 for the LA Galaxy. Shots on target, 9 for the Galaxy, 7 for Kansas. Big chances, 4 for the LA Galaxy, which ended up in goals. 3 for Kansas, and they ended up in 1 goal. Big chances missed. The LA Galaxy had 2 to Kansas 3. Pass accuracy, 91 for the LA Galaxy, 87% for Kansas. And corners, 7 from us to their 9. Did you see this match that way in that stats, or was it really lopsided from the scoreline? Like, how did you see that?
I just think that LA Galaxy made the most of the opportunities, and they had several. Like before
Yeah,
Paintsil
yeah,
scored in that first goal, I remember I was in the ACB area like 3 rows up behind the net, and so I was paying really close attention to what was going on in the 18, especially with Paintsil. And there was one play where he got the ball, and my God, that dude could have he just should have taken that shot. Instead, he does what a lot of us complain about, where he dribbles, 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 and finally, there really isn't much of an opportunity, and they try to force a shot. And so I was complaining. I was like, like, man, this guy, he dribbled his way out of another goal. But then, of course, moments later, Galaxy uh, got that set piece, and then Paintsil got his goal, and I was like, all right, yeah, yeah, all right, you. But the thing is, the goal that he scored, he didn't really think about it. He just shot the ball, which is what we ask of him.
yeah.
Just shoot the damn ball, dude.
Yep, 100.
I
percent
think he overthinks, things too much. And but when he just reacts and he does things naturally, that's when he's his best.
Yeah, and a lot of the magic happened in the first half. It started early with Payne still scoring that goal in the 4th minute, and then from there, I can't say it was like a dominant win, but like you mentioned, they took their chances and they put him back in the net. I think one of my favorite parts from that first half was the fact that they outscored and nobody booed him.
No,
Nobody in the stadium booed him. I
there was
think
like a slight,
yeah,
there was like a slight
myself,
cheer in the crowd.
yeah, I cheered it. So Eddie and I were up there, and he scored, and we stood up and clapped. He pointed to Lars, gave him the hard hands, and
Yeah.
it was all love. And you see it around the stadium. I rewatched it, like I mentioned earlier. I rewatched the match, and they panned to the fans, and people were clapping, standing up, clapping for Dayan. And I'd love to see that.
Yeah, our in V Block, we were all still celebrating, cheering, right? Galaxy was up ahead, right? And then you see, Dayon get his, and it was 2-1, so nobody was like really upset. Everybody just kept clapping, and then you hear people in the crowd saying, "Hey, look, who scored? Hey, it was Dayon. Hey, good for him. All right, that's enough, Dayon. That's enough.
Yeah.
You got yours.
No,
Welcome
yeah.
back."
I think he has 18 goals in the season.
Yes, 18 goals, and this is on a really bad team
Yeah,
that, according to Chad, and this is something that we also talked about with Jimmy earlier in the season, from No Other Pod, that Kansas City was having a really difficult time feeding him the ball and finding ways to implement his style of play into their format, their tactics. And some way, somehow, Dayan has scored 18 goals. So this goes to show the kind of caliber player that he has matured into. So you surround this guy with people that will serve him the ball in the right spots or give him the space to create, and he's gonna make magic happen.
yeah. That's exactly what he had with the LA Galaxy last season, with Peck, Paintsil, and of course Ricky Pooch, who demanded their own attention in their own right, but left Dayan for a lot of those quote unquote easy tap ins. And man, if he had a good team around him, that Kansas City team could be pretty dangerous. I don't know about defensively because, I mean, if the LA Galaxy can score 4 goals on you, you must be pretty bad.
Well, I mean, they've been having their own issues as well. Like Kansas City, Eric Thommy wasn't there.
Yeah.
Also, Shaloi wasn't there, and these are two important players that we mentioned in the
Actually,
past.
Shallowy did play yesterday.
Shaloi did play, okay, because
Yeah.
we had heard beforehand that he might not be available. But Shallowy is a guy that when he's 100%, man, he's good, dude.
Yeah,
But he obviously, he's been dealing with some injuries and he didn't play the entire match. So, um, hey, it works out for us, man.
yeah. One of the things also, while I was up there watching the match, and it seemed that every time Fagundes would get the ball in the first half, he would kind of kill the momentum of the LA Galaxy counter. Eddie was calling him the momentum killer up there. I forgot it was something like that along those lines.
Rally
If you,
killer, man.
I don't know. I know he's on in the chat. I don't know what you mentioned, Eddie, but write it in the chat. But yeah, I rewatched the game again, and yeah, he was a little bit of a momentum killer. Not sure why, because he's a pretty solid player. It just yesterday it didn't. Not that he played bad. It's just in those moments where you could have probably pushed up a little bit faster for a counter. He kind of slowed it down and kind of, like Eddie mentioned, he's a momentum killer.
I don't know what it is about him because it's something we've discussed. We've been chatting amongst each other
Mm-hmm.
for more than a month now, right? Somebody brought it to our attention. I think as far back as like middle of Leagues Cup, where um, Buzz Killington. So where where we're like, hey, you know what? Anytime there's a Galaxy attack and the ball gets to Fagundes, the whole thing dies because either he dribbles into a crowd or he just turns around and passes it back and it's like, oh man, or he turns it over. We've seen him turn the ball over and it leads to a goal for the other team. And so, like you said, he's a good player when he's on, but
Yeah,
I don't know if he's dealing with not injuries, but aches and pains, especially towards this part of the season where you might not have necessarily an injury, but you deal with aches and pains, especially when you play. I know I did. I wasn't injured, but I have aches and pains, right? And you're like,
yeah,
oh man. And sometimes you're just a step slower. And when you feel pain or you feel weary, it affects your thinking and it slows down your thinking, and maybe that's it, or maybe it just the other team scouts him well and they know he's going to go a certain way and they bring in somebody to block his opportunities, and then he just doesn't have the avenues to pass the ball like he wants to. So it could be many things, or it could be all these things all at once, and then it affects his style of play. But he does seem like a step slower.
yeah. I mean, like I said, age. I mean, undefeated. By the time is undefeated. You can see that in Marco Royce as well, right? He still has that ball IQ. It's just his body can't do what his mind wants him to. I mean, it happens to me too. I mean, I'm almost hitting 40 playing with these younger cats, and I can't keep up with them in speed and stuff. So I got to play mentally with them, right? So it's the age thing. Another thing that I noticed in the first half that kind of made me laugh, and this was before when it was still 0-0. There was a corner from Kansas City, and Dejan kind of chest bumped Mikovic in the back, and then Mikovic turned around to see who it was, and it was Dejan, and that would just give him like a little little tap in the back. I thought
Oh,
that was pretty
I
cool.
thought you can say he shivved them in the back or something.
nah, nah. Which was a pretty
Some
cool
love from
moment.
Serbia.
Yeah, which was a pretty cool moment. And I also forgot to ask you, were you there for the presentation of Dejan's ring by any chance?
Yes, I was at that point before the match. I was hanging out in the Lars area in the corner, and a lot of people there were anticipating the ring ceremony. It wasn't anything like blown out. It was just something very nice, very tasteful. Excuse me. They, Kansas City, before the Kansas City team came out to do their warm ups, Dejan walked out on the field. He was met by some Galaxy staffers, dignitaries. Will Kuntz was there, some other people, and the PA announcer, announced them. He's like, "Hey, everybody, welcome, 2024 MLS Cup winner Dejan Joveljic, welcome back." And they officially presented him with, the little ring box. It was like wrapped in a ribbon. Um, some of us were expecting him to like pop it open and try it on, but he didn't. He just kept it in his little box, and then they directed everybody to look at the video board, and they showed a video compilation of some of his tastiest highlights and lifting the cup with Emma, with LA Galaxy at the end of the season. So uh, it was really nice. Kind of not overly emotional, But it was just nice to know that here's somebody who had such a great impact on your team, and we saw him mature from a young rebellious guy into like somebody who was like a solid starter for an MLS Cup caliber team.
Cholo Dayon, baby.
Cholo Dejan, that mean mugging fools, right?
Hell yeah. See, that's beautiful. The fact that the fans were very receptive of him and gave him
A
his
lot of
props.
people wearing Dejan gear.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, he's always going to be a legend in the club because he did lift that trophy with the LA Galaxy. He was part of that sixth star that we have on the jerseys now, and he was a big part of it. It doesn't really happen without him, to be honest. We had a sub forward that wasn't really panning out in Miguel Berry, which I don't want to shit on Berry, right? But he's not Dayon, and he wasn't Dayon last year. So shout out to Dayon, man. Made me want to cry right now. Nah.
Oh,
That was, dude. We do miss him though. We miss Dayon. I
yeah,
know
dude,
he
we
misses
do.
us too. But you know what? He has a bigger paycheck over there. He has a new family now. He's a father, so he's looking for his family. And you know what? Best of luck to him. And if he ever wants to come back, we'll receive you with open arms.
Definitely.
Um, Anything that stood out to you that probably wasn't the Galaxy's best?
What do you mean that wasn't the Galaxy
Like
best?
like
Like
something
something that.
something that you're like, I know we're winning, but this doesn't look.
Oh, just that there were like, even though like you look at the score sheet, right? You're like, okay, Paintsil definitely, he had his hat trick, but there were so many missed opportunities. He could have had 4 goals in that first half. He
Mhm.
could have had 5. Like I said, right before he scored in the fourth minute, there was an opportunity where he just dribbled himself out of a goal. And then towards the end of the half, obviously he hit the post, right? I think, yeah, he hit the crossbar. I'm sorry, he hit the post, and he could have had 4 goals. Easily could have had 4 goals, quite possibly 5, right? Nobody in MLS has ever scored 4 goals in a half, and so he was that close to MLS history. Um, and I expected, I expected a little bit more sharpness, but then again, we're talking about the 2025 LA Galaxy team, right? Can we really complain? I mean, they're up 3-1, at the end of the half. Or was it 2-1 at that
It
point?
was 3-1, 3-1 at the
Three
half.
one, right? And so, can't really complain. Um,
I wonder
yeah,
if
I just
anybody. Go ahead.
no, I just remember, like I said, at the beginning of the game, before the game, I'm sorry, there was just a sense of optimism. Like, okay, this is one we could definitely win. And throughout the game, it was just like that sense of like, yeah, they should win this game. But like Eddie said, there was a lot of defensive miscues though. Because Kansas City did have their opportunities. It's just they're missing key players, and there's a reason why they are where they are in the standings. They're not good in
Hmm.
general. They're just not a good team, and it's weird because for so long there people were saying that Peter Vermees had run this team into the ground, but now that he's gone and they've had an opportunity to try to uh, rebuild themselves, they've been having a really hard time of it. And like Chad said, they're just waiting for the season to end so they could just completely wipe the board clean and start from scratch.
Yeah,
So
I remember him mentioning that there's about 7 players that are out of contract with them, so that's gonna make a lot of room for them to improve the team and maybe build around De Jong, and
yeah,
give him somebody that could give him the ball. Well, good thing they suck right now because yeah, Mikovic had 6 saves in total this match, and they were pretty good saves. Another thing, the now that Eddie mentioned it with the defensive thing, yeah, because you see the stats, and they outshot us in this match. So, I mean, if it wasn't for them being really bad, it could have been a lopsided score. And I was gonna say, I wonder if anybody at the half was wondering, damn, we're up 3-1. Are they gonna fuck this up?
I mean,
Are they gonna fuck this up?
I think at that point I really didn't care. I was just like we're up 3-1. This team is bad. they're not making the best of their opportunities. And I feel like Mitrovic is decent enough of a goalkeeper that he would stop some of the their best. I mean, Dayon had some good shots, but most of them were straight at Mitrovic, who either positioned himself well or just happened to be in the right place at the right time. So, but yeah, no, there were times when Kansas City hit. They took shots off the crossbar, and I was like, oh my god,
Yeah,
this game could have been a little bit closer if these guys, just happen to make their shots. But um, before the game, the players, the visiting team lines up to take their shots, in front of Victoria Block, and I was watching them in their practice, and man, they were missing all their shots. It was pretty funny. So I was like, these guys not particularly sharp tonight.
which worked out for us because
Yeah,
all of us enjoyed the 4-1 thrashing that we gave to Kansas City, which could have been the same scoreline if the last time that we played them, where we lost without
yeah.
conceding a shot.
I personally, by the way, I personally was talking a lot of crap to the goalkeeper in the first half. I was close enough with an earshot. I know he heard me. I was like, "Bulls camp, I'm in your head. I'm in your head. Hey, what's up, fool? What's up? Look over here, John, John." And one
You-
point he did this, with his head. I mean, I know that fool heard me.
I love that type of banter. When it's not like personal, just to get
No,
under his skin. I love that type of shit. It's
yeah.
always fun. What player in this match, aside from the DPs and like the main protagonists, do you think stood out in this?
Um, Gee, put me on the spot like that, right? I'm trying to think.
Well, I'll
Yeah.
give you one for me then. For me, I think Harbor Miller. Uh, he got to start again, and he played. I think he's played spectacular. Aside from Paintsil having the goals, Gabriel Peck having a decent game. Harbor Miller, for some reason, this kid, I think we have something with him. It could be a nice depth piece. It could be something that could be tradable later, maybe, just in case. But I think Harbor Miller is having a good match.
I was gonna say Cuevas, dude. I thought Cuevas had a pretty good game. Eddie, players have feelings, right? Then Twice Simpson, hey, Daryl, sorry, you suck.
Daryl,
Yeah.
Daryl.
He's got a little teardrops. Uh, yes, I am a jerk. No, no, I felt like Cuevas had a pretty decent game. He did get two of those assists on the Paintsil goals, um, and I feel like I'm really excited to see what he can do next season already. I feel like he's had some bumps in the road along the way, but I feel overall this guy is really maturing into a really solid player. Where uh, as much as we love Yamane, I feel confident that we have somebody like Cuevas who could step up, when
Yeah.
needed.
Reminds me a little of damn, I forgot his name. No way.
Julian?
Yes, Julian. I was like, wait a minute. Reminds me of that. How he came up through the academy, and once he starts playing, he's starting to make a name for himself. And also, when we were sitting upstairs, one of our friends, Rez, was being a big Cuevas hater and a Serio. No, he was being a Serio hater. So every time Serio would pass the ball, Eddie and I will get up and clap just in his face so he could get all bothered by it. But yeah, I like Cuevas too. For me, he should be the starter next season, but I don't know. You know how our coach is.
Yeah.
But anyway, the LA Galaxy finished this match with a 4-1 victory over the terribly, terribly put together Sporting Kansas. A win.
Kansas City.
Kansas City. Oh,
Sporting
yeah.
Kansas. Yes. Remember Chad was all like, please don't call him Sporting Kansas.
Yeah, over Kansas City. What a bad team. And for some reason, well, we know the reason. They're still 3 points ahead of us in the standings. What does this mean moving forward and to the big, quote unquote, big match that is getting played on Wednesday against Toluca?
Obviously, it's a big confidence booster. Um, I mean, as best a confidence booster as you can get, because you look at what the Lucas doing, and like I said, they're murdering fools left and right. There's a game against Monterrey, which I think Monterrey took the lead, right? And then you look at the final score is 6-2 Toluca. Like, God damn. So they're playing solid teams in Liga MX, and here's LA Galaxy smashing one of the worst teams in the league. But you know what? Then again, we're one of the worst teams in the league too. So it's gonna be very interesting to see what kind of performance LA Galaxy puts out there, because we saw this LA Galaxy team do very well against Liga MX teams in League Cup.
Surprisingly.
Now, now let's be honest. Cholos and Santos are not that good. And but Galaxy did put up a good fight against a Cruz Azul team that was trying to rebound uh, after that embarrassing loss to Seattle, and then of course Galaxy did beat Pachuca on the way to the final. I mean, onto the semis. I'm sorry, before eventually losing to Seattle. So I feel like LA Galaxy has a good opportunity to do something very interesting, very inspirational in this game against Wednesday. I mean, on Wednesday, because they've shown that they could tactically speaking, they do well against Liga MX teams who don't focus so much on the wingers like MLS teams do, because Paintsil was able to run, up and down the wings, have a lot more space to create, and it wasn't until Seattle saw that and they started pushing him more out to the wings and limiting his chances that they were able to put a stop to that. But Liga MX teams don't seem to focus so much on that. So maybe we'll see Peck and Paintsel create some chaos in this game.
Yeah, I watched the post game interview with Diego Fagundes, and he mentioned that the Galaxy we haven't had a great season, but it's gonna be an opportunity to lift some silverware, whether it's a big tournament thing or whatever it is, and it gives the fans something to cheer for, and I think that's probably the mentality that the team's gonna go into in this match against Toluca. Not sure how we're gonna line up against them, seeing how we're pretty much injured and we're not really that good. So yeah, I want to say that they're gonna put up a fight, but like you mentioned, they're just a beast of a team, and their strikers are on the tear, and we have defensive issues on our end, so it's gonna be interesting to see. We will be playing at home, so that could be probably a boost for the LA Galaxy, but whatever, just finish the season already.
I am curious to see. You mentioned a home game, right?
Yeah.
When is the match against the Liga MX team a home
That's
match,
true.
right?
That is also true.
And then on top of that, right? Not only is an opportunity for Liga MX teams, or especially Toluca fans, to see their team play here in LA, but um, season ticket holders did not have this game included in their package. So I haven't even looked to see how much the tickets for this match cost. Maybe you can look it up over chatting about it.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to see how many people are actually going to show up this match that are going to, spend money on this is a gamble, right? There's no guarantee Galaxy is going to come in there and play at the level we saw them, in Liga. I mean, in League's Cup, because this is a different tournament. But like I said, middle of the week, right? We've seen what kind of crowds Galaxy draws for middle of the week games,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not that great. Um, and this is just an exhibition match, so a lot of variables that could go one way or the other. An opportunity to win a cup. It's an exhibition game; doesn't really factor into much. But then again, it's against one of the better teams in Liga MX. But then again, season ticket holders didn't get a ticket. Are they willing to shell out the money? How much is it that you find? Did you find out?
Yeah, I got you. So in the stands, they're $37. There are some that are 235 in section 112, but we ain't going in there. But that's where it is. The say the average is $40 for a ticket, right?
That's not too bad.
Not bad, but for a midweek game, like you mentioned, a cup that doesn't really have any significance. I thought that if you won this one, you could get into the Champions League or something, but no, it's just for fun, I guess.
You get into Liga MX. How about that?
So I mean, for an average prick ticket, $40. I mean, if you're willing to go watch the LA Galaxy and suffer with them, by all means, go for it. But
It
it,
wouldn't that be something though?
if they win
If like just for
it,
shits and giggles, like whoever wins this game, right? You get to participate in the other tournament, for the next season. So like they say Toluca wins, they get to be an MLS for 1 year, and Galaxy has to go to Liga MX.
that would be a mess of a mess of a tournament.
And all the teams having to travel down to Toluca for a match. I'm just saying, man. This is funny. You qualified a Leagues Cup. No, Eddie. No, don't encourage Leagues Cup, man.
uh,
Give me the U.S. Open Cup back, baby.
yeah,
I miss that.
100%. Oh,
Speaking of,
we actually talked about that. Go
well,
ahead.
it's going to be Nashville against Austin in the final, and that's going to be in Austin at Q2 Stadium. Neither team has ever won anything at all. Not even like well, Austin won the Tejano Cup. Ooh.
Oh.
But they haven't won anything. So it's an opportunity for both teams to lift some silverware that means something. I'm curious to see who's going to win because I ran a poll heading into the semis, and it was Philly versus Nashville, and the other one was Austin versus Minnesota, and everybody voted like Philly, number one. Number two was Minnesota. Number three, what they had Nashville, and nobody, absolutely nobody voted for Austin. And this is like 80 something votes, right? And I'm like, damn, nobody want Austin to win, right? Or nobody
Hell
thinks they're
no.
gonna win. And now they're hosting the final. So against Nashville, who got the second least amount of votes. So
That's
I don't
interesting.
know.
Me and my homies hate Austin.
Yeah, nobody likes Austin, dude.
Why is that? I wonder. Anyway, back to this match. You know what time it is? It's award time, baby.
Whoop-a-ba-ba. Damn it, Eddie. It says I love running those poles. At least he didn't say like dancing on the poles.
Wait, you don't like doing
Sometimes when nobody's looking.
that? On your days off?
On my days off.
All right, let's start with the game is off award, the Geo award. For you, whose game
Dude,
was off in this match?
I'm gonna give it to Peck. I just feel like Gabriel Peck. Oh my God, there were so many times when he did a lot of the things that we've been complaining about Paintsil. How he holds onto the ball too long, he dribbles into crowds. We saw Peck take away so many of his opportunities to just do something simple and put the ball on frame or just get the ball into the box, and he would either dribble too much or he would take these weird shots. And yeah, it was very obvious to me, especially in the first half, because like I said, I was in V block and I was paying close attention to what was going on there. But um it's frustrating to see that things have gotten to a point in this season for these guys that they are thinking themselves into the ground. When simple things are what got you into the top levels in the first place. And I just feel like he's one of those guys that's just waiting for the season to be over because everything he's tried so far has not worked. And at this point, he's just like he's going through the motions of trying to do different things, and there's just not working. And it was pretty obvious last night. Um, and it was frustrating. He did get an assist, I think, for one of the goals.
Yeah,
That's fine. But at the same time, he had his own opportunities and he just cannot capitalize on them. And that was frustrating to me.
yeah. For me, I think it's gonna be Diego Fagundes. The fact that I mentioned earlier that it seemed like every time we were on a counter, he would kind of kill the momentum of that play. Not because he's a bad player. It's just I don't know what's going on with him right now. It could be the same thing with Peck. They're just kind of running through the motions, wanting the season to end already, uh, and it's fine. But in this match, even though the other Galaxy had a marvelous scoreline, 4-1, and he did score a goal, it just seemed in that first half he wasn't as plugged in as I would have wanted him to. But it's just me nitpicking now because I don't think anybody in the LA Galaxy had like a terrible game. It's just we got to give it to somebody, and this time Diego Fagundes got it. My bad, bro. Let's go to the honorable mention, the You Got Hartman Award. Um, Edgar, who had heart for you in this match?
I'm gonna do something that we never do
Go ahead.
because it's a rare opportunity. On his night, I'm gonna give it to former G, Dejan Jovic, because he came
Yes.
in, he got his ring, he got a warm reception from the crowd, he scored a goal, he showed some love, and one of those rare instances where a former Galaxy player comes in and is treated with the same warmth and love that he was always given. I think the last time we saw something like that, I think it was Jesse Sardis. He was playing for Austin, I think, at the time, and the fans give him like a really nice warm ovation. It's always nice to see that. I'm pretty sure we're going to see the same with other former Gs. Maybe we play Montreal next year. Jalen Neal comes in town. You know he's going to get a nice warm reception. Um, so that's just me. I know. We're supposed to be doing Galaxy players, but let me give it to Dayon because we were kind of hoping to see him get one. All right, that wouldn't really hurt us,
Yeah,
and he did. He got his, and that was enough. That's
that's
enough,
enough.
Dayon. Shut it down. So good for him.
Yeah, and for that one, I'm gonna give you this one.
Thank you. Thank you.
I will be giving it to a Galaxy player. I know I mentioned Harbor Miller had a spectacular game. Young man with a lot of promise, but this award, the Hartman Award, is gonna go to the other young man that you mentioned, Mauricio Cuevas. 2 assists in the match where they actually steamrolled Kansas City. I was gonna say just Kansas. And it's not the first time that he has those type of matches where he has multiple assists. For some reason, he's an assist master. We've seen some of that play in League's Cup. Now in transition into this match against Kansas City, and yeah, I like the way he plays. And from my taste, he should be the starter next season. So for that, young man, you got heart in this match. All right, now for the most prestigious award in all of MLS. The next standing player of the match. I'm pretty sure this is going to be unanimous, right?
You and I, right?
Yeah.
Has to
That
be.
the hat trick hero himself, Joseph Paintsil. What a game he had, dude. I know he could have scored more, but like again, we're nitpicking, especially because he's had an interesting season, right? He hasn't been at his best, and in this match
Yeah.
with with uh, with the depleted team that the LA Galaxy came out to, he scored three. And when I rewatched the match on Apple, the commentators were saying that he actually likes playing that center forward position. It hasn't really panned out with us as it did yesterday, but could that be something that Vanny looks at moving forward? Maybe.
Maybe, but who do you line up on the wings if you move him up there? That's the question. Maybe LA Galaxy will look into bringing another winger in the offseason. Oh, before I forget,
Yes.
uh, uh, I did run into Will Kuntz at halftime, and I asked him something very interesting, and his answer was even
Hmm.
more interesting, and I'll share it in a second. But just to put a, put this to bed, I don't know. Like I said, we've seen him do well, like in this instance against a really bad team,
Yeah.
and we've seen him struggle. So it's not. It's I don't. It's he might feel comfortable up there, but if he's not getting service, it won't matter. And if he's dribbling himself out of opportunities, it won't matter either. I think he's best when he's given space, and to attack and try to go around those corners and head into the box. So I'd like to see him more as a winger, but maybe if need be, you could put him up there. But I wouldn't want him up there all the time.
Yeah. I tend to agree with that. But I mean, we could probably see him at forward again against the Luca. Maybe the same lineup rolls out against the Luca. We'll see. Hopefully. Well, actually, I would like to see Rindolph and Garces start for some reason. I don't know why. I think it'll work out with Cuevas out right and Alde out left. That seems like it could work. But anyway, now I want the tea. Spill the tea.
Oh, okay. So at halftime, I was kind of hanging out, behind the main concourse, kind of near where the press box is, and I'm just hanging out. And I'm talking to Ananda from Laguna. Much, love to Laguna,
Shout
and
out.
so we're just chit chatting there. But um, at some point, I think he started talking to somebody else, and then Will Coons came down, and I saw Will Coons, and usually I don't talk to people like that. I just let him be whatever because I'm sure he gets pestered, for a lot of other questions. But there was nobody really there, so I saw him come by and I was like, "Hey, Will, how are you?" And he, give me some nugs. And I asked him, "Hey, quick question. I was like, is there a chance that maybe LA Galaxy will send Ricky on loan in the offseason to get him ready, for Champions Cup?" And then as he was walking away, he looked back. He's like, "I'm not gonna chance it." And I was like, "What?"
One
Because it's
hundred
something
percent.
that we've discussed, right? It's something that
Yeah.
we've talked about, and it's something I know other pods have discussed. Like, how are you gonna get Ricky match fit, not just for the 2026 season, but for the Champions Cup? Because there really isn't much of a buildup for that.
Yeah.
So, if that was his response, I'm taking it with a grain of salt because things could change, right? The discussions could be had,
Hmm.
but I don't know. What would you do if you were in that position? Would you, like you said, not chance it, and send Ricky somewhere where either he gets injured again, or he plays so well that the other team's like, we're just gonna buy him from
Yeah.
you. I
It's
mean, there's so many things that could happen, right?
it's a I think it's an ongoing question between like in the LA Galaxy space. That's the question, right? Because on one hand, you do want to prepare them for the Champions Cup, and one way you could do that is by letting them play some of these MLS matches that are left, right? Give him 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there. But then you run the risk of injuring him again. I know he posted that, I'm ready type thing, right? But being in practice is way different from being in the match. And the matches in MLS are very intense, very physical, and he tends to get hit a lot. So you don't want to risk it, but you also want to, give him some time where he could kind of shake off the rust, so to speak. And for my taste, I wouldn't play him. It's just because you don't want to risk him, right? You want to have him fully healthy for the 2026 season, um, and have him go through a preseason fully healthy. So I wouldn't. But if there's a chance that he does get to play sometime this season, I wouldn't mind that either. It's just got to be very selective with his minutes and see where they go from there. Because he's our guy. He's our main piece, and this is why the LA
Yeah,
Galaxy is bad this season. We don't have the main creator of everything that the LA Galaxy does.
yeah. And just to reiterate something I had mentioned earlier in the season, one of the most frustrating things about not having Ricky is, yeah, we were hard on him in the past, right? Because we saw some of the faults in his style play and the things he would do, where he would try to play hero ball, he would try to push the ball up himself. He wouldn't, pass out to the wing, so Peck and Paintsil, were left, throwing their arms up and that kind of stuff. But as the season wore on, and there was more of a shift into the vanity ball, you started to see him, finally buy into that system. And then in the playoffs, you saw him go through like a period of evolution, like a Pokemon, where, you start hearing the music, dun, 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 right?
Yeah,
And then in that game against Seattle, you started seeing him glowing and evolving. And right when he was about to evolve into his final form, boom, Rodon takes him down, and we lost him for the season. And um so I'm really looking forward to seeing uh, if we can get him back to that same period of evolution where he was evolving into to a higher form, and whether or not he has regressed, and that's the difficult part, right?
yeah, yeah. Because we need him. This team needs
Yeah,
him, and
yeah,
especially with the way Vanny likes to play, we need a fully recovered, full form Ricky Pooch to start next season, and it's going to be a tough ask of him coming back.
So, quick question, Brian. Since I
Yeah.
was talking about him as being like a Pokemon, right?
Which
What?
Pokemon is he?
Which Pokemon would he be, right? Yeah, yeah. Like I'm asking everyone too out there, anybody listening or watching us right now, what kind of Pokemon would Ricky be if he was, like in the Pokédex?
Ooh, well, to be fair, I only know the 150 originals, so he could probably be one of the newer ones. But
I know, right? Me too. Only know the originals.
um, damn, that's a good question.
You're gonna come out with Jigglypuff, right?
Jigglypuff evolves into Wigglytuff. So, um, that's a really good question. I would have to probably think about that one because the first one that popped into my head probably doesn't match, which would be Mr. Mime. But I don't think that's the right answer. I would really have to think about that one. But that's a good one. And if you guys in the chat, play along. It'd be well. You know what? We'll do a poll.
Yeah,
We'll do a poll. Since you like polls.
yeah.
All right, guys. Do we have a midweek by any chance?
Um, it's this week is hard
Yeah.
because obviously there's a match on Wednesday against Toluca. Usually we have the midweek show on Wednesdays. Thursdays might be a little bit difficult because there's a congested schedule. Obviously, there's other pods that have their show as well. Friday may or may not happen, but you can rest assured because there's there's like a home and away, right? I mean, there's the road match and then home match with FC Dallas. At some point, we're gonna get Jose Diaz, who covers FC Dallas, to talk about FC Dallas. I mean, we're playing them back to back, right? So
Yeah.
at some point, we will get him. I don't know if we're gonna get him on a Sunday show. I don't know if we're gonna get him next week or this week, but definitely that guy's always down to talk, and he's a really smart fella. So um, hopefully this week, if not, definitely next week. So you can be sure of that.
Um, in the chat, we got Machoke for Ricky Pooch. Definitely not. We also got Pikachu, because he's small, he's agile, and he has a high pitched voice.
What about Mew?
Oh, maybe that one too.
Yeah,
I like that question actually. We'll do
maybe Meowth.
we'll do one of Edgar's famous polls on this. All right. Anything else before we get up out of here, Edgar?
No, I just I want to thank the. There's a couple of things I want to say. First of all, I want to thank the Inland Empire Jays for putting together a really nice tailgate before the match. They had these delicious sandwiches. They were always very gracious. They always welcome you with open arms. I had my friend Juan who was celebrating his birthday. One of my old friends I've known for 38 years now. It's crazy.
Damn! Shout
And
out.
one of my coworker Lizzie, she was there with her husband. Yeah, they were telling me their whole story how like their first date was at a Galaxy game or whatever, and he's interested in becoming a Galaxy season ticket holder, and so that was cool. Um, but yeah, much love to them. Much love, obviously, to Lars because they're always great, and to all the other supporters for for being so welcoming, to me and to my friend. Um, but there is one other thing I want to bring up, and I'm not gonna name names. And we were discussing this, and I just want to say, please, if you had too much to drink, or if you just don't know, you forget where you are, please respect people. I always tell my son, he's only 5. I was telling him, please keep your hands to yourself. Remember, we gotta respect personal space. Because in the end, nobody wants to be objectified or treated like a thing.
Yeah.
Something happened at the game. I'm not gonna get into specifics. It happened after the game actually, and it's an ugly thing. And I just want everybody that attends the match, regardless of gender or race or whatever, to feel comfortable and feel safe in that environment because we're all there to have a good time.
Yep.
So anybody who brings that kind of idiocy to the game, you're not welcome. You will be removed and maybe even leave with stitches. So um,
I mean,
that's all. And to the person that was affected, I don't know if that person is listening now, but much love. I know that you're always welcome at the stadium, and to anybody who's ever been affected like that at the stadium, speak up, say something. Don't just stay quiet because we need to remove that kind of behavior from our stadiums. Period.
Yep, 100%. I fucking love that. But yeah, Edgar.
Where can people find me? You guys can find me on Twitter. Never ask, baby. And you guys can find me on Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, Edgar Nags. Bryant, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram as Bryant Nags. And if somebody wants to give me a free ticket to go watch the Lucas Smash on the Galaxy, hit my DMs. I'll be willing to go. Only if it's free, because I don't really want to pay for that ticket, to be honest. But you know
Also,
what? I do love midweek matches though. Those are the shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's traffic. Parking is easy, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Only thing is you gotta deal with 2 hours of traffic to get down to the stadium. Something else. Before I forget, I've been working on my my Galaxy vest, my battle vest. I know some people have seen it at the stadium. It's slowly coming together. Just yesterday, I got the 3 patches that I had custom ordered for the MLS Cups 2011 through 2014. I already have the 2024 patch, so I'm going to be adding those to the back. If you guys have already seen it, my vest already has the MLS Cup patches for 2002, 2005. So the next time you see me, you're going to see all 6 MLS Cups represented on the back of that vest.
Hell yeah, beautifully done. All right, well, that does it from us here at News Across the Galaxy. From Edgar and myself, we're up out of here. And as always, Wu-Tang for life, and keep on nagging.
Let's go.